Hello, fellow heirs. Welcome back to Weekday Wind Down with the Word. This is day 5. If you're here with me today, you have made it through the 5th day or to the 5th day, where we will be reading Genesis 5 in the NLT version. And it reads as follows: The Descendants of Adam. This is the written account of the descendants of Adam. When God created human beings, he made them to be like himself. He created them male and female, and he blessed them and called them human. When Adam was 130 years old, he became the father of a son who was just like him in his very image. He named his son Seth. After the birth of Seth, Adam lived another 800 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Adam lived 930 years, and then he died. When Seth was 105 years old, he became the father of Enosh. After the birth of Enosh, Seth lived another 807 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Seth lived 912 years, and then he died. When Enosh was 90 years old, he became the father of Canaan. After the birth of Canaan, Enosh lived another 815 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Enosh lived 905 years, and then he died. When Kenan was 70 years old, he became the father of Mahalalel. After the birth of Mahalalel, Kenan lived another 840 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Kenan lived 910 years, and then he died. When Mahalalel was 65 years old, he became the father of Jared. After the birth of Jared, Mahalalel lived another 830 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Mahalalel lived 895 years, and then he died. When Jared was 162 years old, he became the father of Enoch. After the birth of Enoch, Jared lived another 800 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Jared lived 962 years, and then he died. When Enoch was 65 years old, he became the father of Methuselah. After the birth of Methuselah, Enoch lived in close fellowship with God for another 300 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Enoch lived 365 years walking in close fellowship with God. Then one day he disappeared because God took him. When Methuselah was 187 years old, he became the father of Lamech. After the birth of Lamech, Methuselah had lived another 782 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Methuselah lived 969 years, and then he died. When Lamech was 182 years old, he became the father of a son. Lamech named his son Noah, for he said, "May he bring us relief from our work and the painful labor of farming this ground that the Lord has cursed." After the birth of Noah, Lamech lived another 595 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Lamech lived 777 years, and then he died. After Noah was 500 years old, he became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And that concludes Genesis 5 in the NLT version. That also concludes the first week of Weekday Wind Down with the Word. Now, as always, what is God saying to you? If you're reading this for the first time, what are you amazed about? if you have read this several times before or even once before, have you seen anything this time that you didn't see the first time or the first few times? What is God saying to you? What questions do you have, even for God, at this time? Just take time to think about and meditate upon what we have just read. I know they were living a long time during those days. And it's really amazing how, when they were up in their hundreds, that they were just having babies for the first time. That's really amazing to me. And they didn't mention the age of the women, but who knows? I don't even know how old the women were. But for a man to be 165 and just having his first child, and as it was saying, Noah was 500 years old before he became a father. That's just really amazing to me. And that they lived so old in those days. And I wonder, was it stemming from like the fruit had Adam them even ate of the fruit of life, had they been eaten, and that's why they had long lineages back in those days. And then, of course, and then eventually it wore off. But I'm sure we will get to the part in the Bible probably where their lifespans are shortened. And that's another thing, I know I've read that before and I know the answer, but now it's not the time to discuss that. But I'm not sure. I think it's in Genesis where we will get to that point. But when I first read Genesis 5, that was one of the things. I'm like, well, how come we don't live, to 900 years old today? But it will be explained, so that's something to look forward to, the answer to that question. Why are we not living 700, 800, 900 years old today? So I'm sure, there's a reason for it, and we will get to that in the reading, and I think it is in Genesis. I don't think it goes over into the next book of the Bible, but I think it will be disclosed in Genesis before we get through reading it. So please hang in there with me. Please come back next week. I will be so happy for you to come back, and also make sure you put in the comments what you learned. And especially if you're a teacher out there that's listening to this, please, please, please add your commentation. I would love to read it. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining me as we read through Genesis. It is a great study. It is a wonderful book. It reads to me like a soap opera. I mean, there's so many things that happen in it that it is very, very interesting. It is not a boring book at all. It will keep your interest because you're going to wonder what's going to happen next. And so I hope you guys will join me on the second week as we work through our weekday wind down with the Word. And you all have a wonderfully blessed weekend. See you back here next Monday for week 2. Bye.